we were pissing neon green every day.
The big ball of heat in the sky was too much. I thought there was a bear.
Reality goes, yeah, fresco. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, everybody. What's up, everybody?
Welcome to
Welcome to
StouryTime.
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 You a rapper now?
That was the old Head North before they went on stage. They would do that chant.
Would they really?
Yeah. They would get in a circle and snap back with my city. And then they would do it like on stage. Like right before they started, they would put their hands in and they go snap back with my city on it. And on the on the one tour, the 3-day tour that I went on with them, it was Firestarter, Old Again, and Head North. And it was Albany, Rochester, Buffalo. Albany, they did it at Bogies. Did you do Bogies?
I don't know.
It was like by you, Albany. It was like downtown.
Huh.
Terrible area. Terrible streets. They did it there. And the Firestarter and the Old Again guys were like, oh, that was sick. And then they did it at Rochester. We played. I was just there. It was like a manor. It was like a big mansion in Rochester. There was like 4 shows there.
Huh.
It was like basically Samuel's Grand Manor, but the top floor had like a little stage on it, carpeted floor.
Oh,
Dude, it was terrible.
but it was like a home, right?
At one point in its existence.
Yeah,
But now
yeah.
it's like a banquet hall.
Oh, okay. So it was like kind of, well, not even
Like
in
the Delaware Mansion. Or no,
Okay.
that's kind of like a hotel. Think Delaware Mansion, but no staying over.
Gotcha.
Like you rent out the room.
There's
for
one
an
in like
event.
Hamburg that's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
that too. Yeah.
But then the upstairs, so it's like an attic that's been redone, obviously, but like carpeted floor and a little tiny stage.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I think it was the 3 bands and then like 3 bands from Buffalo. So there was like 25 people in the room, but they were all just in the bands. It was so
I know
bad.
that so well. Did
and no one got paid. The dude, the fucking
Classic.
guy that booked it, I'm 99% sure left before the show ended, and like left with everyone's money.
Oh,
Because there were a handful of people that paid to get in.
that happened the first time we played Baltimore, and
Yeah.
we actually played a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then some dude, but then they played Buffalo at the Forum, and when we were I was in the van with them. We were talking about it, and I was like, "What if you did that chant?" But then played a different song, because they would always do that and then go right into their song. And they were like, yeah. So they did it to I think it's Head Tricks by Pantera.
Okay.
It starts like, no more head tricks. You know, it's like a very heavy intro.
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, that'd be funny. So, and then that was the show. But, you know, we get there, we load in, do all that stuff. And Head North, they get on stage. They're headlining it because it was their local show of the tour, so they flipped the ticket around. And they got up and they started doing it, and they're like, snap back my city on it. Text back with your titties on it. No more head tricks. And then kicked in, and I stage dove. And
you killed everyone.
Tony caught me. Winsky was there, caught me. And some other people caught me. And they were all like, don't do that ever again. But I remember after the show, Josh from Old Again, I was talking to Brent about something, and Josh from Old Again came up and was like, hey, do you know how upset I am right now? And we were like, why? And he goes, because you guys did that really cool intro thing 2 nights of the tour, and I was going to get a video of it tonight, and then you pulled that shit. He was like,
so funny.
He was like, that was sick. That was really cool, but like,
Not what I was expecting.
He's like, I really wanted to get a video of it.
That's funny.
For like, you know, their vlog or whatever. And yeah.
Did
That was with Water, because Brent was on tour with Ben and Water Me Down and Casey Bowles before. So like he was on tour with them, and then they linked up.
Ben
Lieber, yeah. Boom.
Wait, he was on tour. Was he playing as Marigold?
No. This is pre-Marigold.
So was this before?
It was Water Me Down. Do you remember Water Me Down?
Yeah.
It was Water Me Down and Casey Bowles.
Yeah.
And occasionally they would do a full band.
Oh, okay.
So for some of the shows they would do full band. Other shows they were just doing acoustic
Ben
stuff.
was playing with.
Ben would do the
Casey?
drums. Casey or
Water Me Down.
Johnny, yeah. And so then they routed the tour to link up in Albany with the rest of the band.
Oh, okay.
And myself.
That makes sense.
And that was also, it was January 2014. Nick Iacuzo and Alex Matos, and I were in Buffalo taking the train to go to Albany. They had to pick up the merch for Head North.
Okay.
But at like 6:30 a.m., I got a text from Amtrak that was like, hey, there's a snowstorm coming. Your train's delayed, but you have this option that will get there.
Okay.
And so it was like my train was supposed to be at like 9 a.m. and I was going to get to Albany at like 4.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, all right, my train's in 32 minutes. And I'm going to get to Albany at some point, you know?
Yeah.
And so because I didn't have to pick up the merch, they were like, just go and we'll meet you out there later.
Right.
And so I made it to Albany just fine. Nick and Alex were delayed like a few hours to the point where like they didn't know if they were going to make it. And then they made it to, I think they got to Albany when the doors opened for the show. And somebody else played, I think a local band played, and then Head North was supposed to play, but, you know, half the members aren't there.
Right.
So I think Old Again played, and Head North was going second to last. And Alex and Nick just run in the door with their boxes and shit and their instruments and everything. And they were like, yeah, our taxi driver was just blowing red. We were like, get to this place as fast as you can.
Wow.
He was blowing red light, just driving through parking lots and just like going crazy.
That one time we were in we had a friend in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And whenever we'd play, we always played this bar that like I still smoked at the time. You still smoked at the time. It was awesome because you could smoke inside.
Florida.
So, dude, it was the best. It was the best. But like when you're a smoker, it was the best. But our friend would always, she'd come to the show and then we'd crash with her.
Yeah.
And like a lot of times it would either be just overnight or like the next day and then whatever too.
Yeah.
But the one time we played and then we're like, all right, let's go find something to eat. And it's like, I don't know. It's late enough to where in the city too, to where there were no cars.
Right.
Like whatsoever.
Yeah.
And we're driving and we hit a red light and she goes, this. And just
goes.
Floors it.
Just cooks
and
it.
Not only did she go through that red light,
Yeah.
it was all red lights. The whole strip. Like, because when one's red, all of them are red. So she's like, yeah, this. And then just floors it. And we're like, ah! Like, freaking. We're like, okay, chill out, you know?
Like, I'd really rather if you didn't.
Yeah, that was horrifying, but also decent story.
You get there on time.
We got burritos. It was great.
There are moments like, because being where my parents live, like you get out to the suburbs and then it's like, 2 a.m. and there's no one.
Right.
And you're just sitting at the red light and you're like, what am I doing here?
Well, it's
They're on a timer.
like
I get it,
what's
but
his
it's
name?
like-
The Unabomber.
What?
There was I listened to a podcast. I listened to a podcast and like he had this like I haven't read it or anything, but this is from stuff that I've heard from other podcasts. And there's like apparently he wrote a manifesto, and
Correct. Yeah.
it was like in there. I'm paraphrasing. I didn't read it. I'm just saying what I've heard.
John can't read.
Yeah, I definitely can't read. But it was something like you like the world and the people, they follow the rules of things that don't matter, such as red lights when there's no one around. And then when he got caught, the police officer that arrested him, he was on the way and he stopped at a red light and then he went through it.
Yeah.
And he was like, did you follow the traffic laws on the way here? And he started to say yes. And then he's like, but then what? And he's like, well, then I thought there's no one on the road. Why am I stopping? And he's like, you get it.
Yeah.
Like, this is where I'm coming from
it.
kind of thing. But yeah, dude, it's the same idea. Like 4 o'clock in the morning and there's not a single car on the street and you're stopping at a red light. There's no cameras, nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, always stop.
Didn't they find him on like a grammar thing?
I don't know. I really don't know. I
think from what I've seen and read, it was like he was very particular about his grammar and the use of grammar.
I think that's true.
And it was like,
didn't he also like live in the woods or some shit himself?
He lived in like a cab, like a 1-room cabin.
It was like super secluded, right?
Yeah. He was really, really educated, and then he just kind of left.
He just got he went crazy.
He had a moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like have your cake and eat it too, I think, is the incorrect version. And he wrote the correct version.
Oh.
And they printed a letter that he wrote in the newspaper and was like, if you recognize this kind of writing, call in. And his brother was like, my brother does that.
Okay.
This is who it is.
Yeah.
Like, I have a pretty good idea that this is my brother Ted. And then they were like, all right, that's good enough for us.
That's all it takes,
And then they
apparently.
figured it out, yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, that's crazy. So I was thinking, I was at work today, and I was talking to the guy I work with. I started a new place. We were talking about, like, dads for some reason. Like, he's a dad, and he was talking about how he is and how he grew up and everything.
Yeah.
And then I was like, my dad is the funniest guy I know.
My dad's all right. He has his moments.
Well, my dad, like, he doesn't care what people think of him.
Oh.
So, like, his whole purpose in life is to try and embarrass his children.
Yeah.
And he's done it my whole life, so I just don't get embarrassed. Like,
Yeah.
it has helped me throughout life because I don't get embarrassed. But
Yeah.
when I was younger, it did. It worked,
Yeah.
But, so, I don't know what made me think of this, and I forgot about it until... And this is such a dumb thing, but it is so funny. And it just goes to show, like, how extra my dad is.
Sure.
So he commits to the bit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you'll
yeah.
appreciate this.
Yeah.
My brother went to Bible college,
Yeah.
and we were going to visit him in Elma, which is right outside Rochester. And that's where he went to school, that's where he went to school. So we go to visit him, and he tells my dad, he's like, hey, just so you know, I told everybody you're blind. I don't know.
Wait, your brother told your dad he was...
My brother told all of his friends at school
your
that
dad
my
was
dad
blind?
was blind.
That's funny.
So my dad's like, "Oh, okay, okay, I could deal with this.
Sure.
Like, I could work with this." So I just remember, like, I was pretty young. I had to be like 5th or 6th grade, and I'd go out to the garage, and my dad's got like this piece of wood, and he's sanding it, and like he puts like a tip on the end, spray paints it white, handle or the tip red.
Oh, he's making
he
the-
made a stick.
the stick.
Right?
Yeah.
But he took like so much time to make this look as real as possible without it being real.
Right.
And like leather, hand, like everything. It was like you couldn't tell unless you were up close. So we get there. He drove there. We get there. He calls my brother. He's like, "Hey, I'm here."
How did he drive?
And he's like, "Okay." And he's like, "But I have a surprise for you. I'm blind."
Yeah.
And my brother was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, obviously, whatever." So then came out and got us, whatever. And my dad's like, hold my hand. Like committing to the bit, dude. So he does all of this.
Yeah.
We go the whole day. My brother's roommates are like, "Here, let me see your hands." Like there's steps coming, and they're telling him every step.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just-
all this stuff, as you would do for someone who's never been in the area that is blind. So we go the whole day, whatever, and then we get in the car and we leave, and everyone believed it until
He got in the driver's seat.
they saw my dad driving the car.
Yeah.
But we didn't think anything of it, And like at first, apparently my brother calls my dad and he's like, "Hey, what did you do?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, my brother's like, one of my friends just ran into the hall and was like, "Hey, your dad's not blind." And he's like, "What do you mean?" "Yes, he is." And he's like, "Yeah, I just saw him driving away." He's like, "He shouldn't be driving," trying to salvage it or whatever. And he was like, "All right, I don't know. It was a joke, whatever." And
But how does that... Why would that even happen?
dude, I'm sure there's parts of that story that I'm missing because it was so long ago. I was such a kid. I was so
You're just
young.
in orientation. It was like, yeah, my dad's blind. Shit.
I don't know, dude. It's like this other story too. Like, so my dad's dad was a Muslim,
Yeah.
and so I have that in me, right? Like, although it's a religion, but it's kind of like the Jewish
Your
kind of style.
grandfather? Oh, from Yugoslavia.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
was like,
and I had this thing, and I'm about to like. There's still people in my high school that think this is true, so I'm about to like. This is
Are you
Here to
the
hear
are you,
first.
are you the Unabomber?
no. But
My name's Ted Kaczynski.
definitely not. But
What are you doing?
oh, no bummer.
Oh, I was like, is this part of the bit?
No. So, in high school, I had this science teacher. my name is Jonathan A. Korick. He's like, excuse me. He's like, what's your middle name? I'm like, it's Ahmed. I don't know, dude. It's just fucking around with people, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, no way. How do you spell it? I was like, ACHMED.
Sure.
He's like, oh, you had that ready? I was like, because it's my middle name.
You had that ready? Well, you know.
It's my middle name. That's what it is. And he's like, I don't believe you. I was like, okay, well, don't believe me. That's whatever. He's like, let me see your driver's license. I was like 16.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I hand him my driver's license. It's Jonathan A. Korick. My name's too long.
Right.
He comes up to me. This is like weeks. He comes up to me the one day. He's like, hey, it's not Ahmed. I was like, prove it. Yes, it is. Like, what are you talking about? He goes, I went to the middle school and I pulled your records. And I was
Also,
like,
it just doesn't matter.
well, for sure. But it's the fact that he was like,
Right. But it's like this teacher.
I spent this extra time. And so ready for this? And I go, oh, yeah, what'd they say? Jonathan A. Korick. Jonathan Ahmed Korick. What are you talking about? He's like, all right, fine. Whatever. This is my maybe I wasn't 16. This is my freshman year because my sister was still in school.
Yeah.
She was a senior. So he sees her in the hallway one day and it clicks and he's like, that's his sister.
Right.
So he goes, hey, what's your brother's middle name? And she goes, Andrew. And he goes, I knew it. And he freaks out and she's like, ah, shit. And she just texts me. She's like, I'm so sorry. I was like, what did you do?
Right.
So I go to class and he's like, oh, you, what's up, Jonathan Andrew? I'm like, who told you? He's like, don't worry about it. I was like, my sister. She already told me.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. Now what? I go, I don't know. Now what? It's your play. And he's just like, I won't tell anyone. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So like, it's just those stupid things that you're just like, I'm just gonna mess with this person and commit to the bit.
Ahmed.
And then I had like a whole story where it was like my brother's middle name was Muhammad. And it was just like, you couldn't prove it wrong. So I don't know. It was a stupid bit, but it worked.
I never did anything like that.
Dude,
to people.
I grew up that way, though. That's how my dad was.
Yeah. We just would we would just have snide comments. Like we were doing like hall decorating my senior year, and I was in stage crew, so I was like, let's go into the basement and get extra stuff that the other people won't have. And so we did, and we brought up a couch from the crew, like the extra stuff, the set department, and the vice principal came up to me and she was like, how did you guys get this out of the basement? You know, like wanting an answer like, you know, we opened up the basement, we did that, we shouldn't have, blah. And I just said with our arms.
That's like such a fuck you.
And she looked at me and she was like, oh, and just walked away. And it was just shit like that, just dumb little stupid thing. Because like the fucking, just with her arms, I put a fucking chair through a wall on accident. And they were like, how'd that happen? I was like, I was holding it above my head. How do you think it happened? Like
you're like, I'm 12 feet tall.
Yeah,
what do you think would happen here?
I don't know, just dumb stuff. Yeah. With her arms. That vice principal has retired. She retired my sophomore year? No. I don't know. It doesn't matter. She retired when I was in high school still. Yeah. Because I remember there was a time that she was there and that she wasn't there. And it was really kind of weird because when I was in 8th grade, she got divorced. Okay. So she changed her last name, which I'll
back.
Yeah, back to the maiden name. So yeah, it must have been my sophomore year. Doesn't matter. She got divorced, changed her name, was the vice principal for a handful of years. She was a vice principal before that, but I only, had her as my vice principal for a handful of years. And then she resigned suddenly, somewhat, and moved to London to become a tour guide because she married an Englishman.
Okay.
And
why do I feel like I've heard this?
Because me or Marissa or somebody else who went to my high school might have said it. And I'll say the name, and we'll have to cut it out.
Okay.
But I'll show you her Instagram later. Because it's fucking... She changed her entire name.
Like first name?
First name.
Oh.
To
like... Wow.
And now she does tours in London.
She's a porn
and the
star.
UK. No.
No, she's with a name like that. She's a porn star.
Well, she's not marketing it well.
Or she started an OnlyFans.
Honestly, she was 50 when I met her. And that was 10 years ago.
Wow.
No, just dumb stuff.
10 years ago.
I graduated. I was thinking about that today, actually. Because I graduated almost 10 years ago. 10 years ago this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so weird.
I'm
Are
old.
you going to go to your...
No.
No.
What's up, guys? My hairline's receding and I don't have that much money. Hey.
Yeah, but you're a stand-up comedian. You're following your dream.
Yeah. I'm probably not on the email list.
I wasn't. I definitely was not.
I don't think...
I also don't use Facebook, so that was the main way everybody was on. But
my dad, out of both my parents, out of the two of them, my dad's the only one that's gone to a reunion.
okay.
And it wasn't until like the 20 to 30 year range.
I feel like the only people who go to the reunions are the people who can't let that time go. The majority, I'd say.
Yeah. And I mean, like my mom hasn't, I don't think my mom's had any offer. Like, I don't think they did them.
Yeah.
But she also went to a high school, like a small high school in Pennsylvania outside of Pittsburgh. So, like, it wasn't that big of a thing then. But my dad did, because most of it, he's still very close with a lot of his friends from, like, that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a all-come-together situation. Like, how can you get all these people in one place at one time kind of thing?
Good luck.
Yeah, so you do that. But then my sister, because my sister's 10 year was last year and there was none. And then mine is, this year, and I don't. I think maybe like 30, there could be something. Because like 10 years, what have you done? In the 10 years you graduated high school to 10 years after, did you do anything noteworthy?
Dude, I toured the country. That was the thing.
Right.
So, but it wasn't like...
Like in 10 years after high school, you're 18 to 28. It's
I mean,
not
I didn't.
that big of a
I
time
didn't
frame.
do anything that was like I made a name for myself. I
Right.
tried making a
Right.
name for myself, and it never happened.
I feel like you need at least 20 years to be like, all right, I did this and this and this.
And even then, like honestly, dude, I don't care much to talk to a lot. I'd say most people in my high school. The people that I care about and that I'm still friends with, I keep in touch with.
Exactly.
And even the ones that I was close with in high school and middle school and whatever,
Right.
if I don't talk to them on a regular basis, when I see them in public, it's nice to catch up.
Well, that's it. Yeah, going back to a reunion is just showboating.
If I wanted to
You're
go
just
back
showing
for a
off.
reunion,
I'm
I would
renting a
just go
car.
to the local bar in Hamburg.
Exactly.
That's what it is for the
Right.
most part.
Yeah.
There was a time frame where I turned 21 and I was like, I moved back in with my parents and I was at the bar every weekend. And every weekend I saw like 80% of my graduating class.
Yeah.
And I like wouldn't talk to them, you know?
No.
A few of them maybe, but it wasn't like, there's no reason for me.
I've seen a few at shows and stuff, and they'll be like, we went to high school. I was like, okay, what's up?
Yeah.
Have you seen that show on Vice? It's run. I don't remember what it was called, but it's run by Uba Butler. Uba was the guy who did the highest rated restaurant in East London without actually having a restaurant, or one of the highest rated restaurants on TripAdvisor and Yelp in London without actually having a restaurant.
How did he pull that off?
So his early career was writing reviews and stuff like that, and restaurants would pay him to write a review, product reviews, and stuff like that.
Reputable or whatever?
Yeah. So he was like, what if I just wrote reviews? So he paid his friends and he paid other people and like took pictures of what could be like a boutique little restaurant kind of thing and had them write essentially fake reviews to the point where enough chatter was going around about this that people were calling him to get reservations, and he's fully booked. He's fully booked. Sorry, we can't get you in. Can't get you in.
Wow.
So it was the highest rated and the hottest restaurant in London.
And the biggest scam ever.
And then finally they opened it like for one night, and he was just doing he would get like microwave food and then doll it up real quick so that it looked presentable.
That's what it all is for the most part. Anyways.
But it's like he was like, it's the Shed at Dorwich, I believe was the name of the restaurant, and it was like it's 5 out of 5, like 1,000 reviews on TripAdvisor and shit.
Wow.
And it was huge. But then that obviously made that like international news. Like,
Right.
look at this, and Vice covered it, and that's how he got in with Vice and all that. He was probably before, but then with it making international news, a lot of places wanted him to come on the show and talk about it, and he didn't want to go to all these places.
Right.
So he found lookalikes of himself.
He sent them to all the
And
places.
he sent them to different places.
That
And they
is
didn't, they
crazy.
don't know.
Yeah, and they had
Especially
no idea.
the presenters. They're just, they're like, oh, this guy's coming out and he did this. Oh, okay. And like, here's your sheet. And so there's, some of them were very, very like uncanny. Like, wow, that's the same person.
Right.
And some of them were like an old guy or like a huge person.
Right.
And like, it's really funny and so he made a show about it where he's like, hey, if you don't want to do something, submit it here and we'll find you a lookalike to do it for you.
And that was on Vice?
It's on Vice, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of them was somebody didn't want to go skydiving with a girlfriend. So right before like he did the training, he did everything, and then they put the helmets on, and right before they get into the plane, he swapped them out with somebody of the same build.
Yeah.
So he didn't take his helmet off the whole time, so you can't see his face. And then they land, unhook, swap him back in, and he didn't. He didn't do it. It was successful. So he
That's
didn't know.
insane.
But one of them was a high school reunion
Okay.
because a kid or a guy, he's an adult at that point. It was maybe like the 20-ish year, and he had like had a huge thing, and then like moved back home. Something happened. Don't quote me on that part, but.
This is recorded.
He didn't want to go. Well, he didn't want to go do his high school reunion because he just didn't feel like people liked him that much in
Right.
high school for whatever reason. He just didn't want to go to the reunion.
Mm-hmm.
So they found like the guy looked like an average person, and so they found like a supermodel to take his place, like an actor,
Oh.
and gave him a very brief knowledge. And he was wearing like a camera and like an earphone.
Yeah.
So he would go up to people like, oh, that's Chelsea. Chelsea and I had this class. It's like, hey, Chelsea from Mr. So-and-so's class.
Yeah.
And they were like, Joe, whatever.
So they're basically pulling The Office when the Asian guy sits down and pretends to be Jim. Yeah.
But then it was really, that clip or that episode in particular was very heartwarming because they found like all those people that he thought didn't really like him actually did like him.
Yeah.
And then he revealed that it was a swap at the end, and then he explained why. And they're like, oh, I guess that makes sense. Sorry you feel that way. Like, we really do like you as a person.
Yeah.
But it's really, you should definitely check it out. It was really funny.
Maybe I'll add that to the list. We got a whole list of shows to watch.
Yeah.
We started watching that 90s show, dude.
I haven't seen that one yet. I know what it is.
just
but I
came
haven't-
out.
Yeah.
But honestly, dude, we're enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
I think I feel like that 70s show came out at the right. Is it like, do you remember, like, because you're older, you're an old man.
Sure am.
Well, Full House. I was like a Full House generation,
Yeah, it was
right? Because when did that come out? That came out.
very early 90s.
I remember like my sister
It
and I would watch
actually was
it.
probably my generation, but it still was either on when you were born or it was still like
Circulating.
prominent. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that would be like, it would, early mornings were Saved by the Bell, Full House would bring in somewhere in that shuffle, put, one first, one last, whatever. It was just kind of those. So we'd watch it. And then like Fuller House.
Sucked.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice, but it wasn't the same thing.
I personally did not get nostalgia from it.
No.
It was not just nostalgic for me. I just was like, this is
I understood it. I
I
understood
get
the
what they
point.
were doing, and times have changed. I actually said to Jen when we started watching that 90s show,
Yeah.
I was like, all this is Fuller House, but with that 70s show.
Yeah.
But the difference with that 70s show and Full House is, excuse me.
We're just burping.
Dude, we both keep burping. It's the fucking drinks. I'm gonna have to edit all those fucking out. So the difference is like they're teenagers, and then they grew up in the 70s, and then now the 90s, and they show them like they insinuate that they're smoking weed.
Yeah.
And that makes it more funny because of like that they're playing on the thing that you shouldn't play on in television or used to not play on, which is why I feel like that show was such a hit.
Yeah.
And then Fuller House was like so far the other way. It was like, we hold hands in prayer and this and that and the other now.
Yeah.
Whereas we didn't do that when the show came out, and it was just so like, you know.
Did you watch Dairy Girls?
I don't know what that is.
Dairy Girls is a really good show. Just trying to put my leg out. Dairy Girls is a really good show.
Does it still fit in the room?
It's
growing as.
And not on camera, just a bunch of wires over here that my foot kept getting caught in.
Funny.
Dairy Girls is a very good show about dairy, free dairy, London Dairy in Northern Ireland. It's outside of Belfast. It's like one of the other major cities in Northern Ireland. It's very close to the border though of Ireland and Northern Ireland.
Okay.
And it was a very prominent part of the Troubles, from the Protestant, Catholic, the
Religions.
The whole free Ireland, not free Ireland kind of stuff. But it's about a group of girls and a guy, and like just kids growing up in that time. So like there's really cool moments where like they talk about how they can't get to school one way because there's a bomb on the bridge, you know?
Right.
And it's just like, well, how do the kids go to school and shit like that? And it's very funny. But my mom was watching it. I watched it, and then I came home once and my mom was watching it, and it was plot twist. The armistice happened. Or what is it? Spoiler? There we are. The Good Friday Agreement. It was that episode. It was the episode of the vote of the Good Friday Agreement.
Okay.
It's like the last episode. And the Good Friday Agreement, I think, was in the 90s. Yeah, it was in the 90s. Because the trouble started in the 60s. And I was talking to my mom, because my mom's 60, so she was born in the 60s. You know,
Your mom's 60?
Yeah.
That's it?
Oh, all right.
Jesus. I mean, I'm not that much older than you.
Yeah, I don't know. They did it early, I guess. I don't know. Late? What's the word here?
Why isn't your life the same as mine, Max?
Because I was born 5 years after you. I don't know. But she was watching it, and I was like, do you remember any of this happening? Because like the Good Friday Agreement would have made international news because it was the end of the Troubles in Northern Ireland. In Ireland.
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, you would have been like 4.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have had any register of the event, but your parents would have because they were older. They weren't 4. And she's like, "No, when did it happen?" And I was like, "When do you think it happened?" She's like, 1960. And I was like, "No, Linda."
Linda, listen to me, Linda.
It's like 95, 96. Come on. Like you were fully cognizant at this point.
Yeah. That's wild.
She went she went to Europe when it was. She didn't go to Ireland, but like she went to Europe when it was happening.
When it was happening?
Like I mean,
around the time
because the Troubles were happening from the 60s to the 90s.
Yeah.
So like if you were in Europe at any point, it was technically happening.
Right.
Same with like the Cold War and whatever. That was the big thing when I was living over there. I would go to places that she had been to. Like she had been to Paris, she'd been to Berlin and stuff like that. And Paris is all right, but Berlin, she was like telling me these stories about how she used to go to Checkpoint Charlie, and you'd have to get rid of your East German money to go to East Berlin money to go to West Berlin because they had different currencies within the city because it was a split city because of the wall, the whole Hitler thing. That old chestnut.
Time step.
You could say that.
I don't know if you can. They might.
Dude, but the fucking Bert and Tom
it's
have
a
their
name.
cut.
It's a name. I know.
I didn't say.
It's not a bad thing. That's what's funny.
But they were going between the checkpoint because you had to. Americans could go through the checkpoint, especially tourists. You were definitely watched, but you could kind of do whatever. But you couldn't bring the money. The money was illegal on the other side. Okay. So you were just. She's like, you were just handing money to people, and they thought you were a fucking spy. Because like, why would you be handing them this currency? And she was like, yeah, like it was a big deal. So when I was in Berlin, Berlin's a crazy place. If you ever have the chance to go, Berlin's very interesting because it has so much happening there, and they're very acknowledging of what happened.
Yeah, I heard. The
Germans.
I still have family there.
Yeah,
like I have cousins and people that I've never met. My Oma and Opa, that's grandma and grandpa, in German. they grew up during
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So they used to go every summer they'd go back to Germany.
Yeah.
And stay with the family that I still have out there. So
They're very acknowledging of the entire thing. But
yeah.
it's crazy because like you're just walking down the street because there's a couple parks that have pieces of the wall still in it.
Right.
And you're like, this is wild. But then you're just walking down the street and you see like a little kind of bronze scripture on the ground and it says Mauer, which is wall in German. And that's where the wall was. And you're just like, 30 years ago, you couldn't walk down the sidewalk.
Here, yeah.
And now,
That's
you're
wild.
there. And so I went, and Checkpoint Charlie is still there. Checkpoint Charlie was the big checkpoint between East and West Berlin. So I called my mom, and I was like, hey, I'm going to go to Checkpoint Charlie today. Like, it's a tourist thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, all right, cool. Like, let me know what it's like. Different. She's there, and I imagine it's like all black and white. Yeah. It's like snowing all the time, and like no one's happy.
She's seeing in black and white.
Just as you approach, just the color kind of goes away.
Everyone's wearing the newsy hats and
Exactly.
with the high socks.
Right. Just one cigarette is constantly being smoked, but he never changes it out. And I get there, and it's like a McDonald's, a Starbucks, a tourist shop that's selling pieces of the wall, which could very well just be concrete.
Yeah.
And there's the checkpoint itself, like the building is still there. And then there's like two guys dressed up in the... This is going to be a real big history thing. The
Gestapo?
No. The one that was sided with us. I don't remember if it was East Berlin or West Berlin.
Oh, I don't know.
The
the not bad one.
Yeah. That looked somewhat favorably upon in history one. Dressed up like that, taking pictures with people.
Right.
And it's just like, what a stupid gimmick.
Dude,
what a dumb little area this is now.
I'm pretty sure my Oma and Opa said that, like, if you were to go to Germany now and then, like, draw a swastika and then you get caught, that's
It's
like...
illegal.
Not just illegal. That's you're going to prison.
Yeah. No, they're
And
really against it.
They don't even really like you to speak about it.
No.
It's the unspoken truth
No.
out there,
They do talk about it. They do acknowledge
They acknowledge
it, but they don't want
you to talk about it.
But that was the thing in Northern Ireland when I was in Belfast. The place that I was staying was in...
That one stays.
Just a quick little... the hostel that I was staying in was in northern Belfast, which is the Protestant side of the city.
Okay.
And the Catholic side is southern Belfast, I believe. Yeah, because there was a big Prince photo. Not Prince, the singer.
I wish. That would have been so cool.
I didn't notice. I didn't really know because I don't know what I was looking for. And then I did it's called a black cab tour, and they take you in a London black cab.
Oh.
Around the city,
Yeah.
and it's a Catholic guy because they just is, and they show you like where fucking Bobby Sands did his hunger strike. They showed you like different places. They take you to the Peace Wall. They take you all over, and then it was a really, really cool experience because I did that tour, and then the next day, a friend of my uncle's who they met in Vegas from Belfast. They just were on their honeymoon, I think, in Vegas. And they kept in touch, and they were like, oh, my nephew Max is going to be in Belfast. Like, can you show him around? Mm-hmm. And he took me up to the Giant's Causeway, and he showed me a lot of stuff. But he's from he's Protestant. He's a Protestant guy. And it was really interesting to hear like the very Catholic side of the story and then the Protestant side of the story. Because it's the same story, but it's very much like the two sides of the coin thing.
Right, yeah.
The Catholics are the Protestants did it. The Protestants are the Catholics did it. And it's all that stuff. Very nice people, all very nice people. But we went out with some girls the one night, and they couldn't take certain cabs to certain parts of the city because they wouldn't go there.
Oh.
Because it was a Catholic cab company. They wouldn't go to the Protestant side. The Protestant companies wouldn't go to the Catholic side.
That is sad that that's still a thing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And the Peace Wall that goes down the center of the city, or kind of the center, it's a little off, closes every day at 7 p.m. and opens at 7 a.m.
I think I did know that. somebody, I don't remember if I like what I was listening to or if it was my Oma and Opa. Somewhere I heard a story about like growing up during that time.
Yeah.
And if your family lived on the other side of the wall,
Yeah, well,
and
that's
then you
in
had
the
children,
yeah.
like they couldn't meet those children unless what they would do is they would they'd say meet at the wall.
Yeah, in
and then when they
Berlin,
met
yeah.
at the wall at that time, they would hold the baby up.
Yeah. There's
So they
pictures
could
like in
meet,
the
yeah.
different museums around Berlin. There are pictures like that.
Yeah.
because sometimes the wall literally just went up.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't overnight, but the way it was described,
quick.
it just feels like it was
Yeah.
overnight.
It was quickly.
Because it's just like people were at work and then all of a sudden couldn't go home.
Right.
And it's just like it goes like against like people's houses, like their windows were covered
Mm-hmm.
by the wall. And it was just kind of like, well,
And you know what's
what
crazy?
do I do now?
What's even crazier is the power of David Hasselhoff's voice is what brought them back together.
Gorbachev. Tear down that wall.
Have you ever seen that music video?
I think so.
The I can't stop this feeling deep
Yeah,
inside
yeah.
me. Dude, it is wild.
Who knew
Wild.
David Hasselhoff would be
He's an enormous pop star
the
in
German
Germany.
sensation?
It's like
It's in dodgeball too.
yeah, is it?
When the German team loses, he's on.
Oh,
he comes
yeah,
out and
yeah,
starts
yeah.
yelling at
Yeah.
them in German.
It's like Jackie Chan is like a huge pop star in China.
Well, yeah, I mean, he started there.
Right, but he's an actor
Yeah. But I mean, I
and a
think
martial arts specialist.
I think it's weirder for David because like Jackie had a whole career before he came to the States. And sure, the pop star thing is odd,
Yeah.
but it's like he at least was known in China prior to going to the
Right.
States, whereas David was, I'm pretty sure 100% of his career was in the States and then just went to Germany.
You are so right about it being in the States, but so wrong on whether or not Baywatch was aired
No. I know it
in
is.
Germany.
I know it is,
and
but
that's
it's
why
like,
he's famous.
but like he
because
didn't
from
live
in
there. He never lived there.
No, but I mean,
You know what I
dude,
mean? Like Jackie Chan was born and raised in
but
China.
dude, that you got to think Baywatch was like one of the biggest shows in existence.
Yeah.
In that time, like that was the biggest show.
Did
And
you see the movie?
I love it. The Rock is so good in that movie. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Why do you hate it?
No.
I love that movie, dude.
I've heard reviews.
We watch it all the time. It's not like they're not winning awards.
No.
It's a entertaining, funny, at times movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I love everything The Rock does.
They killed Hannibal.
Yeah.
Stupid. Spoiler alert.
My favorite's when the guy sees the one chick and he's trying to get in. And he's like,
He goes on the chair.
yeah, dude. Spoiler alert. he sees a chick he's got a crush on, and he jumps on the chair because he pops a woody.
Blood rushes.
And his wiener gets stuck in between the wood on the chair, so then she has to grab it.
I might have to watch that.
Dude, it's pretty funny.
Might have to watch that again.
It's pretty funny, man.
That one is funny, and like the outtakes at the end are funny in the credits.
Yeah, no.
And they got Pam in there too.
Pam.
She showed up like right at the end. Pamela Anderson.
Oh yeah.
It's like, why is she walking?
Well, they
in slow
actually.
motion?
So if you watch like all the credits, I think all of them. Make
Yeah,
an
they're
appearance.
all in
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
But Pam and David were obviously the biggest stars.
Well, yeah.
Or the most notable.
Pam's only famous for one other movie.
Yeah.
Don't Google it, or Google it. Who cares?
It's your life. don't.
I've Googled it. Whatever.
Don't blame us.
I was a child.
What I think it was. Who said it?
As a child.
Oh fuck! I can't remember. Some comedian was. Oh, Big J Okerson. Well, I think it was a bit. It might be on one of his Netflix things, but he was talking about that video, and he calls Tommy's dick the long skinny. And
Accurate though.
And I think about that sometimes. Just
Which
the long skinny.
Did you watch the Hulu show of the Pam?
They put it on Hulu?
So they made like Seth Rogen actually wrote.
I haven't watched it. I don't know if it
So the dude he plays Tommy Lee, but he's like from Marvel movies. He's like Bucky and Winter Soldier.
Sebastian?
yeah.
He's like
So-
Romanian or something.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So they gave him a prosthetic penis
Oh.
and they show it in the show.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what am I seeing right now? Like, what is that, dude? And then I recommend watching that.
Apparently, well, I have to get Hulu first.
Yeah.
Because that ran me into a problem not having Hulu, but I'll tell you that in a second. Apparently, all dicks you see in a movie or TV show,
Fake.
Yeah. They're just like a mold of their dick over their dick. I didn't know that.
I did know that, but I think I like read that somewhere.
Yeah. It's like, well, fluff it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't have Hulu. I still don't have Hulu. I don't have access to it.
Kind of salty there. Like, I don't know.
Because it wasn't in Spain. It's not available in Europe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So for like 3 years, I didn't think about it because I couldn't.
Well, it's
I didn't
owned by
think about it.
Disney
And even like Disney
Plus.
Disney Plus shows different stuff in Europe, like a lot of stuff I didn't have
Same
access
thing with
to.
Netflix.
And Netflix gives you access to a lot of stuff, but like Disney wouldn't have options because they didn't have the rights in Europe for it.
Right.
So they just didn't put it out. Same with Amazon. Amazon Prime didn't have anything in Europe.
Yeah, when we went to Italy, we actually, dude, the Netflix, like because I brought my laptop so we could watch shit to go to bed, before bed, and the Netflix had like everything Marvel at the time. It was amazing, but then we didn't have any of that shit here.
No. Yeah, it's the rights are a really weird thing. So I didn't have Hulu, and I was writing a joke about a funny show. Wouldn't it be funny if there was a show called How I Met Your Father, and it was a girl in New York who, got railed out for like 3 years and then met her husband who became the father. And then because for 3 years I didn't have that advertisement because it's on Hulu exclusively. But if it's
no, I think that's
no, it's on Hulu. It's a Hulu show.
Oh,
So
I thought that was like an NBC or ABC or something.
Either way, they wouldn't. They don't have that in Europe either.
That's true.
So it's like I didn't have.
Yeah.
I had this awesome idea that someone else also had.
Yeah.
And I did it at a show. I did it at a fucking mic, and I was like running the bit. And this girl just goes, "I'm sorry, do you not know that's real?" And I was like, "What do you?"
Shout out Hillary Duff.
I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" And she goes, "It's on Hulu." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And she goes, "Yeah. It's on. Like, you can watch it right now. It's Hillary Duff and so and so and so and so. It's like on its 3rd season." And I was like,
hilarious.
I just said, "Oh, alrighty," and then I got off and I Googled it, and I was like, "This is fucking stupid." This is a really good idea. And
You could still do it.
My idea was way better than theirs because they were all wholesome.
You know, they actually did 2 pilots to that show, and in the first one, Andrew Santino was in it, and that one did not get picked up. I don't know, but he talks about it all the time. He was in the pilot, and he was like the gay brother.
Oh.
And he's like, "Yeah, I was in this show, and
They were trying to do like a
we did the
Barney.
pilot, and it just didn't get greenlit." And then like a few years later, they did another pilot with who they have now, and it got greenlit.
I think that happens though. I wonder like how many shows you saw that aren't like that pilot. You ever just see a pilot and you're like, "How the fuck did this get picked up?"
You know what? There was a Jen knows someone in Buffalo that they do one person. No, that her and her husband. It's like her mom knows them or she knows them.
Yeah.
Somehow Jen knows of these people. They're local and they flip houses.
Oh yeah.
So it's like the Chip and Joanna type shit.
Yeah.
Well, they got an offer to do a pilot.
Yeah.
But they were like, "Here's this. Everyone needs to watch because if no one watches, it's not going to get picked up."
No.
And I don't think it got picked up.
No.
But
There's also so many house shows.
well,
How many different house shows can you do?
it doesn't matter
No
as long
offense.
as they're doing cool
No
shit.
offense to you if you're doing a house show.
And we know you're watching.
You really got to make me want it. Because it's just, there's so many like flip it and sell it, love it or list it, it's all the same bit.
It's all the same thing. It really is. It's
Now, there's the one, now there's that like lottery winner, lottery dream homes.
I think that's been around for a while. I've never watched an episode.
I've watched the ones recently and realized that because I think it used to be exclusively people that won millions of dollars on the lottery, and now it's people that won like $1,000.
It's just like anyone who won anything.
It's because one of them was like, Sarah won $300,000 on the local lottery. And it's like, oh, I guess that is a lottery winner, sure. Because I only think of like the Mega Millions and whatever.
Right,
it's like, I guess 300,000 is more than what I had yesterday for sure.
So speaking of lottery winners, did you see that the other day?
So big.
The other day, this was like okay.
Speaking of lottery winners, did you see
Speaking
that
of lottery
the other day?
winners, the like I think this past week somebody won like a lot of
Maine.
money,
In
and they
Maine.
wore the mask.
No,
did you
I
see
didn't-
that?
I didn't see that.
Okay, somebody won, and they had to go sign, and like you have to.
Yeah.
Most states in America, if you win, you have to go, and it's public, and it has to be public knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, the way to fight that is you have to open a court case or whatever to make it like payable to a LLC, and you start an LLC.
Yeah.
Well, in this state, they didn't have to do that, and because it wasn't like millions of dollars. I think it was like 300,000 or something.
Oh.
And the person wore like a scream mask, and then when they were like, "So why are you showing up in a scream mask?" and he's like, "Because I don't want none of my family asking me for no money," and they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't want any of my family knowing.
Good for him.
It's my money. Don't come knocking."
Yeah.
And then he signed the paper and he did this in the picture with the scream mask on, and that was it. I was like, "That's freaking brilliant, dude."
No, that in like somewhere in like kind of middle of nowhere, Maine, at a gas station, they sold the 1.5 or like $2 billion
or whatever.
ticket.
Oh, so
'Cause there was
someone
only
hit?
one,
Yeah. Oh, wow.
and that was the crazy thing was that there was only one winning ticket.
Yeah, that's insane.
And it was sold at some bum gas station
Dude.
in Maine. And the dude was like, "Yeah, I've been selling tickets here all the time, and you never see a winner like that."
So many things are popping in my head right now. First, my dad told me the story that my dad used to work at American Axle.
Yeah.
And there was this woman that every week she played the same numbers.
Yeah.
Every week.
Good for her.
30 years.
Right. Never won.
And then, wait for this. Ready?
yeah.
Her son was getting married. And she was like, "I'm not going to play today." Oh, no. Every number hit.
Yeah, right.
Every number hit. No. And then she was like, "I guess I wasn't supposed to win. Like, I was never meant to win." So she just, that was it.
I couldn't live like that.
Dude, knowing that I fucked up.
Yeah.
I should have done this and I didn't.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
A friend of mine, a guy that I lived with in college worked at a gas station here overnight, and he said basically every other night, a guy would come in and spend at least $100 and get at least one $50 scratcher, and never really came back to return the investment. I like a good scratcher. I am a big fan of scratch offs.
I like
It's
scratch
just a
offs.
fun little thing.
I like scratch offs when I don't buy them.
I make sure I have a spreadsheet that keeps track of all my wins and losses on scratchers.
Really?
So I'm not under. I'm over.
Okay.
And when it gets too low, I stop for a long time. Like if it gets to like I only have $1 left before I lose everything, I don't buy them for a while.
You wait till someone buys you one.
Yeah, and then I
you
start
win.
over.
Yeah. Smart.
Because I know I'll have because I really like them.
Yeah. Dude, it's gambling.
I
It is.
enjoy them.
It's gambling. That's what it is. My whole thing is like, I don't want to spend $20 on one that's like worth it when I can go to the casino and put $20 on black and just double my money.
I just get like the $2 ones that have the crossword on it,
yeah.
and it's just kind of more of an activity.
Back in the day, this changed, but back in the day, you didn't even have to scratch them.
You don't have to either. You can just scratch the code.
Well, no, so back in the day, the barcode on the back, if it started with a certain 3 numbers, it was a winner.
Yeah.
So all you had to do was look at those 3 numbers and you knew.
Yeah.
So like,
you could buy like 10 and look at them and see.
Yeah, and never scratch one and you'd be fine.
But then it's one of those things. I think loose change, in terms of the New York State Lottery. I think loose change, the scratcher loose change. Boy, do I feel garbage. The scratcher, because I know the statistics of the winning of the tickets.
Yeah.
I think loose change is 1 in 4.57 is a winner. So essentially 1 in 5. But
what's a winner?
It's a
$1?
winner. It's the minimum
$2?
payout is $1.
Typically, if you win, they give you enough to buy another one.
Correct.
Because most people will just go in and say, "Give me another one."
Right. Me. Yeah. I think in my bag I have a piece of because I lost and I ripped it up to go throw it out somewhere, and there's definitely still a piece in my bag. And that was from like a month and a half ago.
Jen's mom for my mother-in-law for Christmas every year she does stockings for everybody.
Yeah, and you get a bunch of scratches.
We get a ton.
Yeah.
We get a ton. Actually, that's how we told her family with that.
Yeah.
And we put it in her nephew's scratch in his thing, and he did one, and he didn't win. And then he looked at the one we put in there, and he was like, "Oh, cool." He puts it down, and we're like, "Oh, buddy, you need to do that one. That one looks like it's a winner." And he's like,
I really need to.
I'm going to play with my Pokemon cards.
You're like, I'd really prefer it if you did that one.
And then Jen's like, no, buddy, this one really looks like you're going to win a lot of money. And she's like, yeah, I'll do it in a little bit. And then, like, a few minutes go by, and I was like, bud, that one looks like it's a winner.
Right.
And she said it again, and then he scratches it off, and he's scratching, and it says, "We're having a baby."
Yeah.
And he sees, and he's like, "We're having a bit." Ew. He's like, he doesn't know. He's like, what the heck does this mean?
I'm not a winner.
Yeah, and then
I can tell you that much.
Her family just all kind of did like, no, oh my god, and then
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really funny because
having a baby. Whoa.
He's like, oh, I'm not having a baby. It's pretty funny.
This looks like a winner. So I got 2 losing fucking tickets.
It was pretty good, man. It was just funny because we're like, he'll be stoked because he's gonna see it's a winner, before he scratches that side off.
Yeah.
And he didn't know. He couldn't tell, But yeah, that was a fun way to do it.
Left Behind. What's that Left Behind album?
Left Behind, like
Left
the
Behind the
Christian
band.
book series?
No. No, Left Behind the band from West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Fuck, I don't remember the name of the album, but they had scratchers that they gave out. Oh, No One Goes to Heaven. That was the album.
Oh.
And when you scratch it off, that's what it said.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
This is the part of the show that I'm not really happy with.
Oh, we're doing this now.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, I'm dead.
Max died in
Charlie killed me. And John killed me.
Max died in a car crash 3 days from now. No. Why don't you tell him what's up?
I'm moving. I am moving to New York. Well, I moved. This is past tense, I guess, because this is
By the
out.
time you're seeing this, it'll have already
By
happened.
the time you're seeing this, I'll be dead. No.
Jesus Christ.
If you're watching this, that means you've made it to the end of the episode. Thanks for watching. Also, I have moved to New York, which unfortunately means there's no fun way to say this.
It's not a great thing. It's not.
It's a bit of a bummer at the end of the episode.
It's a bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. It has to be addressed. Basically,
John fucked my girlfriend.
And now I have 2 wives.
And I have none.
No. Max is moving to New York City to follow his dream of living in New York City. No,
I'm moving to New York to pursue my dream of not having any money. No, I'm moving to New York. If you're watching this,
this is all staying in.
If you're watching this, it's too late. If you're watching this,
this is his last episode.
This is my last episode.
This is his last episode as the co-host of the show. Not his last episode.
I'll be back.
When he's home, or when he's back in Buffalo, we will definitely be doing some episodes, but that does not mean that he will be in every episode from here on out. Sad to see you go. I love you. This is a lot of fun.
It's been good.
You really stuck a fork in my ass to get this going.
I imagine just like a montage reel of me just leaning forward and laughing too much, or just like coughing
You know
and
what,
burping.
dude? That's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll do a montage.
Just like, Max, stop breathing into the mic.
Just burps.
Just burps and just coughing and just.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
It's bittersweet. I've had a lot of fun, man.
It's been good.
This is great. It's great.
I look that we both wore gray sweatshirts today.
Yeah.
Also,
Keep an eye out for what he does, because I guarantee he's not going to not do something in New York City.
That's true.
Hopefully. You can't get this guy to shut up.
That's a fucking fact. No, but yeah, continue to support John. Continue to support everything. I'll be around.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking going anywhere too soon. No, that doesn't work. We're going to cut that.
He's out of here on Friday, so
I'm out of here on Wednesday.
Wednesday. He's out of here in 2 days.
Yeah, but keep supporting John. It's a very fun podcast.
And support Max in his endeavors because he's doing the comedy thing out in New York City. It's a better location for him with what he wants to do. So,
and then one day when we have a lot of money, we'll bring it back. Maybe we'll put it out. We'll put it into the universe. You never know what's going to happen, kids. You never know.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. If you believe, you can achieve. Grab life by the horns. Hit the books
and ride that bull.
Hit the books. They don't hit back.
This is true. Yeah,
all right, guys.
That being said, it's been a pleasure doing this with him, with you, and I appreciate everything you've done. I appreciate the comedy aspect you've brought, and
sure.
You're just a really good friend. And
good time.
We'll have to come visit you, and yeah, man,
we'll do it. All right, high five.
Yes. So.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go follow everything, especially with Max. You gotta,
follow me home.
See what he's doing.
Please don't follow me.
Stay in touch with him on everything. But,
and John.
Yeah, I don't really care about me right now. But
hit the fucking follow button. Yeah. All right, guys.
All right, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye, bitch.